what's going on, everyone? How you guys doing today? My name is Matt Jarbo. This is $3 Theater, and this is a really interesting video to make because we are in this odd moment in time where you've actually got directors for high-profile, large-budget comic book movies coming out and pushing back against narratives set forth by people who are considered entertainment journalists, bloggers, YouTubers, scoopers, whatever, and it's fascinating. So it starts off with this post right here from David Ayer, who was responding, this was yesterday, to someone asking about the Suicide Squad. And he says, look, my movie was reshot because the tone was too dark. My first act was a normally constructed film. I took inspiration from Nolan. There were scenes of incredible acting between Jared and Margot. Joker was terrifying. Harley was complex. And that is something I would like to see. More Joker, more Harley, more seriousness. The darker tone works well with DC films. And that is kind of something that was echoed this morning by Cathy Yan, the director of Birds of Prey, who says, I'm so sorry this happened to you, David. I know the pain. To which case, I mean, like, what's going on here, guys? What is happening? Why exactly is Cathy Yan now coming out and talking about this from the perspective of not giving all the details, not spilling all the tea, if you will, but she is giving the information that there was, again, more behind the scenes shenanigans coming in from Warner's and DC. And my question then becomes, as I did ask here, are we talking about Walter Hamada or Toby Emmerich? But we don't quite know just yet exactly what's going on. She hasn't spilled the details, but this is where Grace Randolph gets into the conversation, because she tweeted out a while back here, I told you guys, massive reshoots largely to take out dick pic storyline and add more action via Chad Stileski. I'm surprised Yen would jump on this bandwagon though. Hashtag Birds of Prey was well received by critics and has a very strong fan base that vehemently defends it, as is the DCEU. The thing is, it doesn't have that big of a fan base. A lot of people out there, you know, women didn't go see the movie. We actually found out that the demographics of people going to see it were more men than women, even though it was a female-centric film. But Cathy actually decides to clap back, which is fascinating. She says, excuse me, you have no idea what you're talking about. It's fascinating you would deem to try when you weren't part of the process whatsoever. And this is interesting because Grace did put out that scoop about the Birds of Prey storyline, about the reshoots, about there being the pics in the diamond, and that's what Black Mask wanted, and it was all about trying to get, you know, it was a really, there were claims of pedophilia. I mean, there's all sorts of weird stuff going on with that. Now she says here, no reporter is ever part of the process. They're different jobs. Everything I reported on is common knowledge with many insiders. I brought it to the public. I gave your film a good review, and I said you have a strong fan base, so logically there should be no problem here, which is such a weird way to approach it when she broke a story that a lot of people out there didn't really believe. I mean, they didn't believe it at all, really. I mean, yeah, you could tell there were reshoots and that there were tweakings of the story from within, you know, from when you see the film. It's obvious to tell, but again, there was never any corroboration about this particular plot line from anyone who worked on the movie or anyone with any kind of name or notoriety. And it being common knowledge, it wasn't common knowledge because Grace was the first person to talk about it. And so Cathy Yan here responds back. Oh, also, I just want to say here, that whole line here of like, I gave your film a good review. There should be no problem here. Like, what kind of comment is that, Grace? Oh, I gave your film a good review. Why are you criticizing what I said? It's what kind of level of entitlement is that? And if you've ever really paid attention to Grace Randolph, there is an insane level of entitlement that comes from Grace Randolph. I mean, this is the woman that hosts live streams, but you can only interact with her either calling in or even chatting if you pay her $5 a month. That is the type of person Grace Randolph is. And a lot of us who cover movies and like to interact with the audience aren't big fans of that. Now, she says here, this is Cathy, and I appreciate your support, but let's set the record straight. There was never dick pics. You peddling a pedophilia rumor is not journalism. Peddling any gossip is not journalism. I know, I was one. And that is true. And then she says here, multiple reporters confirmed that story after I reported it, said it was great and should be kept in the film, and I didn't like it taking out, and dick pics weren't pedophilia. There were people that were pushing that narrative, though. There were people pushing that narrative, and the same kind of people that were pushing that that narrative had a lot to do with the same attacking of Brie Larson and for Captain Marvel, and attacking Birds of Prey for being woke. You know the kind of people I'm talking about. She says here, plus as a former journalist, you should realize the optics of now pretending you suddenly have a better Yan cut. We don't know what she has. And then here she comes in here trying to say, oh, I've got receipts. Okay. So this is the thing. She says here, she brings up Daniel Richtman, and anyone who watches my channel knows that Daniel Richtman attempted to blackmail me last week. Not kidding you. He totally did. I have a whole video on it. It's funnier than hell, but he actually tried to blackmail me, because I criticized him. I'm not even making that up. This is how, and look at this here, the entitlement from Grace Randolph over Cathy Yan criticizing her, and then Daniel Richtman being mad at me for criticizing him, goes to show you this, the scoopers, the inside track on the scoopers, that they're all just narcissistic little whiny bitches, basically. Not all, but like the ones that, you know, that are more prominent on Twitter, I think. So anyway, so she brings up Daniel Richtman as saying that she's talking about the dick pics, Roman Black Mask being explicitly gay, and that is basically what he says here. But then he responds back with, what the fuck, you know, don't bring me into this. Also, never was there any dick pics. I got used to say that too, but it was naked statue that was more related to Roman's character being a vulnerable art collector, and very well done. Nothing pedo about it like you tried to claim. And then she's like, your tweet literally said Dick Pic Daniels, welcome to the party. So these guys are kind of going back and forth on it a little bit, and there's not much else really going on. But that's the thing. Grace at this point is absolutely trying to damage control, because Cathy Yan came out and just smacked her down, and I'm actually here for it, to be honest with you. And I said the same thing in regards to Clownfish TV getting BTFO'd by Kevin Smith a few months ago, where they had come out and they had talked about this rumor involving He-Man, and it was going to be all woke, and then Kevin clapped back and basically BTFO'd them out of the water, and I talked about it. Then the other day, I think like Screen Rant ran some article that had said something about Tila being the main focus, and then they're like, see, we were right, and then Kevin came back and BTFO'd them once again. And it goes to show you the problem with this kind of journalism. And I'm not saying like I'm 100% on, you know, I've covered some stuff maybe more hyperbolically than I should have. It's a hard line to walk. Sometimes you're trying to be funny, depends on the time of day. I will fully get that. But what we're seeing here is Grace really attempting to damage control. She really is. And she did put this stuff out there. She caused a lot of the problems, and she's trying at this point to say like, look, she's like, my reporting on the dick pic elements of Birds of Prey was 100%. It wasn't. You know, all the scoopers knew. It's not, it's really not. Daniel is once again trying to like kind of get himself out of that one there, you know, and it's really just, it shows you the kind of person, for one, Grace Randolph is when criticized in this particular regard, in this particular situation. So what have we learned from all of this? We've learned actually a lot of things. So number one is that scoopers, grain of salt. Even Mikey Sutton, who I'm friends with, take with a grain of salt. I say that all the time. In every video I cover of his stories or his scoops, take with a grain of salt, because things change, things move around. But when people out there try, like Grace is right now, to cover her ass, cover her tracks, it's very much falling in line with the Daniel Richtman situation, through blackmail attempts, Jeremy Conrad through his incessant bitching online, Grace Randolph and how she's now trying to walk it all, you know, she's trying to like control the narrative when the person who directed the movies coming out and officially like denying what she had to say. I mean, David Ayer pushing back on people through false information, Kevin Smith pushing back on people through false information. This to me is fascinating, because the creative process of making a show, a movie, a series, whatever, it's an evolving process. Things change. Your original concept is not what happens that you get on the screen. There's this whole, you know, there's 3 movies that you make. There's the one you write, the one you shoot, and the one you edit. Things change, they evolve, and scoopers get information as time goes on. But the problem is that in these situations, not everything is reported as being like, you know, it's always being reported as truthful, because they have to maintain that idea. They have to maintain that that they are the arbiter of truth, that they bring the truth to these stories. And as a result of that, it ends up causing a problem, because when they're pushed back on by the creatives who are actively involved that are trying to stop the spread of disinformation, then it seems to make, it kind of causes a bit of a rift. So expect Grace to put out a video on this today. Expect her to do everything she can to damage control. But I mean, the joke I made was Cathy Yan just destroyed Grace's entire career. And I don't want Grace to lose her career. I do enjoy Grace's take on comic book films. I think her analysis is usually pretty good. I do enjoy her content. But sometimes when it comes to this sort of thing, she's got her head up her ass, and it just got smacked the hell out by Cathy Yan. And honestly, I'm going to take Cathy Yan's approach to this. She's got no connection to the studio really going into it. There's been the regime change at Warner Brothers. There's talks of another Gotham City Sirens or another movie directed by her. And who knows? Maybe she doesn't want it. Maybe she's just tired of the nonsense and she wants to set the record straight. And David Ayer and Zack Snyder have kind of opened the door for actually exposing what went on behind the scenes, which is good. And so Grace should be accepting of this and wanting more of that information, so then she could then come out and actually be honest in her reporting. Wouldn't it be nice? Wouldn't it be nice? I mean, we just went through this with the Snyder Cut, with certain people not taking the L and trying to do everything they could to damage control and justify really bad takes. I see the same thing happening now with Grace, but she's got enough of a following to where I don't think she's going to actually change anything. I think her following is going to cocoon around her. They're going to echo chamber the hell out of her. And that's going to be that. But anyway, your thoughts on this one, your opinions, let me know down in the comments below. Curious as always to know what you guys have to say about this. If you guys want to be to follow, hit subscribe, hit like, type DCEU in the chat so I know you guys made it this far in the video. I'll talk to you all later. Have yourself a great day. Thank you again for watching, and peace out.